Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to our ISKCON Nepal Srimad Bhagavatam reading. Today we will be covering Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text 14. This chapter is the cause of all causes, where Lord Brahma is explaining to Narada, addressing his questions, who is the cause of all causes. Radha Kunj Bihari Prabhu, would you be able to send a message to SP speakers?
Okay, Mataji, I'll send it right away. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, we'll begin with the prayers. Om Agnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Kadanchana smrute yasmin dushkaram sukharam bhavet vismrute viparitam va Shri Chaitanyam namamitam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna, welcome again. Sorry, I'm joining from phone. I need to start driving in the middle of the class, so I'm not able to be on video or share the screen. Hopefully, you'll be able to see the verse on your Srimad Bhagavatam books at the phone. So, we have been hearing this beautiful description between Lord Brahma and Narada Muni, where Narada Muni is so wonderfully inquiring. Though Lord Brahma seems to be the supreme, he somehow has this understanding that there must be something beyond. So he is very humbly, very respectfully requesting Lord Brahma to explain if there is anyone beyond. So until the last verse, text 13, Lord Brahma is explaining how that is actually a misconception and that he is not the supreme, there is someone beyond him. And now from text 14 onwards, he starts answering Narada Muni's questions. We will just revisit text 2, where Narada Muni asks these questions. We will just see what are those questions and how this verse relates to that. Text 2. Yadrupam yad adhishtanam yatashishtam idam prabho yat samstam yat param yamcha tattatvam vada tatpataha. My dear father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done? So, this Yed Rupam, the first question, what are the symptoms of this manifestation? That is what is being addressed here in text 14. I'll start reading the verse. Dravyam karma cha kalascha svabhavo jiva eva cha vasudevat paro brahman nachanyordhosti tatvataha. Dravyam karma cha kalascha svabhavo jiva eva cha vasudevat paro brahman nachanyordhosti tatvataha. Word to word. Dravyam, the ingredients, earth, water, fire, air, and sky. Karma, the interaction. Cha and Kalaha, eternal time. Cha, also. Swabhava, intuition or nature. Jivaha, the living being. Eva, certainly. Cha, and Vasudeva, from Vasudeva. Paraha, differentiated parts. Brahman, O Brahmana. Na, never. Cha, also. Anyaha, separate. Arthaha, value. Asti, there is. Tattvataha, in truth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The 5 elementary ingredients of creation, the interaction thereof set up by eternal time, and the intuition or nature of the individual living beings are all differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. And in truth, there is no other value in them. We'll read this translation once again. Very beautiful verse, very beautiful translation. The 5 elementary ingredients of creation, the interaction thereof set up by eternal time, and the intuition or nature of the individual living beings are all differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. And in truth, there is no other value in them. Purport. This phenomenal world is impersonally the representation of Vasudeva, because the ingredients of its creation, their interaction, and the enjoyer of the resultant action, the living being, are all produced by the external and internal energies of Lord Krishna. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7, 4, and 5. The ingredients, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, as well as the conception of material identity, intelligence, and the mind, are produced of the external energy of the Lord. So this is talking about the external energy. We will just go to 7.4. Bhumirapo analo vayu kammano buddhireva cha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtadha. Here Krishna is talking about how his external energy is getting manifested. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So these are Krishna's energy, but they're separated from him. And if we see, anything we are seeing in this manifestation is actually some or other form of these material elements, whether it is gross or subtle. So in that sense, we can actually see Krishna's connection. This verse is totally talking about how anything we are seeing, either material or spiritual, external, internal, marginal, anything, it actually has any value in it only because of its connection to Krishna, because it's Krishna's energies. And then the next verse is actually very interesting. Prabhupada covers in the purport. This is 7.5 about the jiva, the living entity. Apareyamitastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yeyedam dharyate jagat. Besides the 8 external aspects of the material energy, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. This verse is very, very inspiring in many, many ways. In one sense, it actually gives us a clue. What is the root cause of our suffering? Because of exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So when we hear this, the living entity is actually superior energy and the material is inferior energy, it can actually give us that, understanding that I have a choice. I actually belong to the superior. Sometimes, we feel just stuck and it's like as if I don't have any choice. I just can't do anything. I'm being, just being entangled and things are thrown upon me. But when we understand this, somehow or other, remember this, that we actually are superior than this material energy. Though I'm being influenced with this, that doesn't mean that I am subservient or I just need to succumb to this material things or circumstances. We still have the opportunity and ability to make the choice to actually act above the material energy. Of course, that happens. Krishna explains in 7:14 how when we connect to him, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya, it is actually very difficult. But when we come out of this exploiting the inferior energy and connect to Krishna and use our facilities for Krishna service, in Krishna connection, then it will be possible for us to go beyond that. We'll continue with the purport. The living entity who enjoys the interaction of the above gross and subtle ingredients as set up by eternal time is an offshoot of internal potency, with freedom to remain either in the material world or in the spiritual world. This is a big question most of us can have. Why this freedom? If I belong to the spiritual energy and spiritual world, why can Krishna take away my freedom and just put me there, just in the spiritual world? So I don't have to come here and then go through this whole thing. But the thing is, when we don't have freedom, when we don't have that feelings, naturally displaying that spontaneous, voluntary feelings, it just becomes like a robot and mechanical. So there is no, enjoyment or the relationship either from our side or Krishna's side. Because Krishna has that free will, because we are parts, we also have that free will. We have heard, all of us, this example. When the little baby on its own comes to the mother or father, the mother or father experience so much more happiness than, they're just dragging the baby and then taking to them and then making them do whatever they want. So in that sense, we have this freedom either to remain in the material world or the spiritual world. So though it seems a difficult aspect why Krishna is putting me in this, so as I'm going through this, but it also again gives us the chance, understanding that we have the freedom. We have the freedom to choose. It's not difficult when we are actually stuck in the situation to really know that I have freedom, but we do have the freedom. Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita are telling you here. In the material world, the living entity is enticed by deluding missions. But in the spiritual world, he is in his normal condition of spiritual existence without any delusion. This is very nice. So here we are enticed. We are feeling there is something. I want to do this. I want to do that. We are constantly, like looking forward for doing something and then establishing something, have, accomplish or like do anything. But what it is, it's just deluding us. The ignorance, the nishanas, it's just deluding us, making us understand, oh, there must be something here. Let me go and perceive some kind of happiness, some kind of enjoyment, some kind of, like wealth or power or family, work, life, success, anything. It's just a delusional effect of this ignorance, material energy. Okay. Yeah, the living entity is known as the marginal potency of the Lord. But in all circumstances, neither the material ingredients nor the spiritual parts and parcels are independent of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva. For all things, whether products of the external, internal, or marginal potencies of the Lord, are simply displays of the same effulgence of the Lord, just as light, heat, and smoke are displays of fire. None of them are separate from the fire. All of them combine together to be called fire. Similarly, all phenomenal manifestations, as well as the effulgence of the body of Vasudeva, are his impersonal features, whereas he eternally exists in his transcendental form called Sachidananda Vigraha, distinct from all conceptions of the material ingredients mentioned above. So, as we can see, even though we may be trying to perceive material things, it is still having some value because it has connection with Krishna. It is Krishna's energy. Whether we are trying to, establish ourselves either material life or as a devotee, or even on a spiritual plane, I want to become the best devotee or whatever. Wherever we are trying, whatever aspect of either material life or spiritual life, it has value only because of Krishna is there. This example we hear, right? How many ever zeros we have, it doesn't matter as long as there is no one before all those zeros. In a similar way, whatever we have, unless we have Krishna in our life, it doesn't really have value. I mean, I was actually feeling there are sometimes, okay, I chant and I try to hear, but it becomes so mechanical. I can't really perceive Krishna in my life. And I'm like, what is happening? And, it just becomes so entangled and so disturbing. Like, even though things are seemingly happening, work, home, this thing, whatever routine, but it's just so much missing, that connection and that enlivenment. And I was thinking, though, the last weekend, it was so hectic, but because of the wonderful association of the devotees, I'm sure each of us are feeling so much of that enlivenment, like very tangible feeling of the joy and bliss in our hearts, which is permeating, even though body is tired or whatever is happening outside. We still have so much of that internal energy and strength and happiness to keep going. I was thinking of Shrikant Prabhu and Anita Mathaji. They had like crazy weekend. In spite of that, they're so joyful and want to serve the devotees. And 2 hours to end up our class, it's just like no fatigue. It's actually removing all kinds of fatigue. So that is actually this Krishna connection. How we can experience when Krishna is there, anything and everything can actually become so auspicious and so beautiful, and it can give us so much strength. And this other point that Prabhupada is mentioning here, we know how this impersonal and personal, Haripashit Prabhu so beautifully explained with Pramana. I was like really, just blown away by the way Prabhu was asking questions and trying to make us think through the Shastra, different places in the Shastra where this is mentioned and how it is so. Not just superficially, yeah, I have heard Bhagavan is the highest, but very thoroughly understand that Bhagavan is actually the supreme and his impersonal features are just the external manifestations. So whoever wants to perceive him in that way, they would be able to perceive. So this is also explained in 9th chapter Bhagavad Gita, how he says, I am in them, I am carrying this material world. And then the next immediate verse, he says, I am aloof from them. It's like, excuse me, Krishna, this sounds like double talk. But this is what the Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva that Lord Chaitanya gave us. He is eternally existing in his transcendental form called Sachidananda Vigraha. So he is eternally there. At the same time, his effulgences and his energies are actually manifesting all this material, spiritual worlds that we're actually seeing around. So I would like to conclude here. So this verse, Lord Brahma is responding to the first question, Yad Rupam, what are the symptoms of this manifest world, requested by Narada Muni. Until this point, Lord Brahma said how he is not the supreme and Krishna is actually the supreme beyond him and who is the cause of all causes. And from text 14 onwards, he answers different questions, 6 different questions that Narada Muni asked. So he's describing the external and internal energies here, the 5 elementary ingredients of creation, and the interaction thereof set up by eternal time kala, and the intuition or nature, the swabhava of the jiva, the constitutional position, the adhyatma, the nature, are all differentiated parts and parcels of personality of Godhead Vasudeva, and in truth there is no other value in them. So one application that we could see, of course, we all know about it, but again, whenever we hear the Shastra, it can, come to resurface and can help us to reconnect to that objective, to see things in connection to Krishna, whatever we are doing through the day. Maybe we can pick one activity, if not like complete day becomes hard, at least one activity that we are doing, seeing that direct connection to Krishna, and do in that perspective and as a service to Krishna, then we will be able to feel that, and then that connection can actually give us that internal strength. And the other point is knowing that jiva is actually belongs to the superior energy. We can understand and remember that I have the freedom and choice to make. I don't have to kind of be a victim, helpless victim of whatever circumstances going around me. I can actually choose consciously to connect with Krishna and that spiritual energy, and then act beyond that. So I will conclude here and invite you all to share any reflections, any discussion. Kindly forgive me, I need to start driving. So, but I'll be on the call. We can discuss until the time. Please, devotees.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanutranam. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru and Gauranga. Super duper explanations on the reality. I think that's what you spoke about today. One reflection for me was, I was meditating on why me, why others, why not me, for anything, right? When you go to a temple, some people get services, some people don't get services, and some people get annoyed, and some people get. A few days ago, I saw people were in that event. People were engaged in some services. Some people, the moment they went there, they did not tell us to do it. Only one group of people did it, and they would have given us also the chance. That expression came from one of the devotees. They spoke to me as well. Then I was thinking in the connection with this class, are we having a connection with Krishna in that activity? Or are we actually thinking about, do we are losing a connection? Or are we having a connection in that activity? Was a question. So what the point came to me is, what are we trying to do? One person can give us faith in Krishna based on his activity, thinking that I brought many people to Krishna consciousness, and I did so much stuff. But the same person can have also the impact, having that because of his character, because of his way of behavior, some people even leave that Krishna consciousness. So this is what I heard from Chaitanya Charitam Prabhu, Charan Prabhu a few minutes ago. So what then I understood, wow, what a correlation on what happened, what is the class, and how am I really correlating to it. And then the deep thought came in, is that just the Shravanam Kirtanam is enough to go back to Godhead? Or do we need to do any activity for Krishna? Do we need to do Srimad Bhagavatam? And if you look at this cosmology, the one which you said, even the material elements, that's also Vedic cosmology because it has all connection with this material. Do I need to understand this altogether? Do I need to, what is the connection between all this? Then it boils down what kind of consciousness we have in this connection. Is that a Krishna connection or is my own connection? My own consciousness of lording it over. And then end of the day, you brought a point that everything connect to Krishna. Some people have a very nice singing voice, which they dedicate for singing. And the other person looks at, oh my God, I want to sing too. But what can I do? I cannot sing, but I want to sing. Yeah, if you have a desire, Krishna might fulfill, but that doesn't mean you have to compete with the other person that he is doing, even I also want to do it. So these are some thoughts that end of the day, are we trying to connect with Krishna? Are we trying to connect with our ego to serve in the community that I am the best? These are the two things which are very important for every day, that whatever I do an activity, is it favorable for me to connect to Krishna is most important. And is my consciousness building to connect to Krishna? The sambandha is there or not there? These are my thoughts, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, that's a very important aspect. And actually, I wanted to bring that, but I forgot. Somehow Krishna is kind enough to remind me through you. The connection between the previous verse and this verse, yesterday, Premanand Mataji very beautifully explained this aham mameti, that the conceptions of I and mine who are bewildered by initiations, they are under that conception. They don't really see Krishna connection, but they are under that illusory energy. So as you are describing this example of services, it's genuine. I'm not saying, devotee, it's genuine. We really want to serve, but unfortunately at our stage, I can say safely, most of us have this mixed. So while we want to do the service, but here it's like, oh, I'm not there at the top. I'm not doing the best service, or like whatever service I really want, I'm not able to do. So there is some conception of that I and mine. And as you nicely shared, when we see that through Krishna connection. So from past, text 13 actually is talking about the conceptions of I and mine. So what's the solution? How can I become free from that? So Lord Brahma is addressing in text 14, today's verse, by understanding Krishna's connection, whatever is there, whatever is happening. Some, general materialists may say, oh, you're just trying to compromise in life and just saying everything is Krishna connection and, just becoming happy. But no, it's actually true. If you're able to see that connection, I don't know, it may not be very easy. I'm not very experienced in this realization, but having little glimpses here and there, when we actually see that Krishna connection, perceive it, it just can open us up so much. Okay, fine. As you're saying, I'm not able to do this particular service, or I'm not able to sing, or I'm not able to cook like the other devotees, whatever. But yet Krishna has given me some unique ability, whatever it is. I may not even know right now what is that unique ability in which I can actually serve. Even if it's not unique, even if it's a teeny tiny, whatever little effort, Krishna is actually kind enough to, engage me in devotional service, put me in this association, allowing me to chant and hear. So if you're able to somehow see that, I think, things actually can become a little bit clear. And sometimes I have heard Krishna wants us to learn these things. So until we have somehow become free from these conceptions, he may, not deliberately, because of our own conditioning, we may be again and again put into those kind of situations where we have to suffer and struggle. But, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and hearing these kind of, realizations from the devotees, we will slowly be getting it. Next time, hopefully it will hurt us a little bit less than this time. So gradually like that, hopefully one day we can see Krishna connection in whatever is happening around us. Yeah, it's a very nice application in whatever respect, whether it's material life or in devotional life. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
Mathaji,
bringing
that I was thinking when you're saying in the service of Lord Ramachandra, whether it's a Hanuman or a little squirrel trying to get that the rocks,
Yeah, Lord Rama
so
is
whether
equal, if
that's
not, he is even more merciful to the squirrel.
so, but
probably.
they were all engaged in Krishna service, and in fact, Lord Ramachandra was very convinced and was pleased, and he stopped Hanuman to, hey, what are you doing? No, don't do that. Like, he is also doing service. So in that connection, what happened is we came all from this material corporate life and then the competing life, and that same competition we are coming to ISKCON, and also we having that same consciousness, we're putting it here in our services as well. That's another thought. So lording over, right? That lording over is there in our heart, and then we will exhibit that here also. That is the problem.
Yeah. I have heard this beautiful statement. That's been my meditation for some time. Can we try to become small and happy devotees? We don't have to become some big person doing big services. Can we actually become small? Like whatever, it's really an insignificant, humble position in a sense. So try to do whatever little we are doing, but happily do that. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So it to any other sharings, devotees? Okay, if there is nothing, we can stop here. Thank you so much for joining. Kindly forgive me for this traffic noise. Panchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Janandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Seeing Krishna connection through the day. Hare Krishna.